Hi, welcome to a video. I'm going to be showing you today how I make my burn away cakes in 6 easy steps. I like to follow 6 easy steps for all of my cakes, and that is going to be bake the cake, you're going to make the buttercream, make the fillings, assemble the cakes, decorate the cakes, and take photos. So we're going to take a little bit longer today decorating the cake, and I'm going to be showing you how I make the burn away part of it. The rest of it, I do have an in-depth video that you could check out. It's called 6 Easy Steps, I believe, to making a heart cake. I will link it down below so you guys could watch it if you want. And yeah, so I already have my buttercream made, I have my filling made, and I have my cake made. So we're already on to the 4th step where we're going to be assembling the cake. And I just wanted to show you guys how I do a little bit of that, and then let you know more in-depth details on how I make the burn away part. If you're interested, please keep on watching. Please like and follow or subscribe. I do have an Instagram you can follow me at, and a TikTok as well. So getting straight into it, I have here my buttercream, and I have some soft butter that I melted in the microwave for about 30 seconds. Or sorry, I melted it for about 3 minutes because it was straight from the fridge, and that's how long it took. So, and I had that going, as well as my heavy whipping cream for my whipped cream, and the Oreos that I was going to crumble up, and a food processor. So along with the Oreos, I had already my cake cut and ready to go. I had already leveled it as well. And I have ready my piping bag and my piping tips, and I came back to my buttercream so that I could finish it up and add all of my butter and let it mix to get the good perfect consistency that we're going to be using. I did get everything already ready for this video just because I was going to be due to that day in the morning, and I didn't have time to just kind of show you guys a little bit of everything. But like I said, I do have another video if you're interested in watching that. If you're going to be blending or cutting up some cookies or anything, I would recommend to use a food processor. This one, I got it from KitchenAid. It was only like $50, and I've had it for probably like 4 to 5 years already. This is what our filling looks like. It's an Oreo filling. It's just heavy whipping cream with a little bit of sugar and some chopped up Oreos. It's really good, and I really recommend you to use this. It's going to be a super good cake because it's a marble cake with Oreo filling. Okay, I'm gonna put my glasses on. So first up that I'm gonna let you know is, once we make our buttercream, if you have seen my other video, I like to warm up a little bit of the buttercream and mix it back in there. But before I do that, I take out like a good amount of buttercream just so that it's still a little bit stiff enough for where we pipe a border inside of the cake so that our filling doesn't come out. And that's the perfect consistency right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out before we make it a little smoother. And it'll really help you to have a good base so that your filling doesn't come out and like ooze out while you're trying to stack and decorate. This is the consistency that I'm saying. So it's still a little stiff and it has shape to it. And this is really good for piping borders and stuff. But I like to warm it up a little bit after this step, after taking out, like fill up a piping bag, and after that I like to warm it up to make it smoother, so where we frost the cake it's nice and smooth. And by the end of that, once we're done frosting, it stiffens up a little bit, so it comes back to this temperature and it's ready for piping again. Alright, since we are on to the assembling, I like to use these big cake drums that I got off of Amazon. I will have a link down below as well, so you can use these. They're way better than just I used to get them from Wilton, the little boards from Michael's and Joann's, but I found these and they're way better. So I'm gonna get the thickest bottom piece so that it could be our bottom base. And then right here, we're going to go ahead and add our simple syrup. This is tip number 2. This is my super deepest, darkest secret. I like to add vanilla to my simple syrup. I love the flavor of vanilla, and it's going to give it more flavor to the cake. Although this is a marble cake, I want the flavor to still stand out and be delicious. So you guys could add vanilla to your simple syrup, or whatever flavor. I added, made a lavender simple syrup one time too, because my cake was going to be a lavender chocolate cake. So you could just infuse whatever flavor into your simple syrup. So this is what I was talking about when I needed the consistency to pipe around the border for our filling. And this is a really good consistency, so we're just gonna pipe one layer and then it's ready for our filling. So for the filling, for it to be nice and even, I like to use a cookie scoop. Usually about 2 or 3 of these makes a good amount. Let's do 2.5. And then you just flatten it out with a small spatula, small offset spatula. So we're gonna repeat all of these steps until we have completed the cake. All right, and for the last layer, remember to add your simple syrup. I like to add it on the inside to make sure it's nice and moist. And then we're gonna flip it over. I know it's a little bit wet, but flip it over and make sure we have that flat end on top. So from here, we're just gonna go ahead and crumb coat it. Crumb coating is a pretty simple step. You're just going to make sure all the crumbs are locked in. You're gonna put it in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes and then do your final layer. Once our cake is all crumb coated, I like to go back to the order form and make sure that I have everything correct. I check the color of the cake and the style of it or the design, and then I do have some photos that I'm going to be using for this cake, so we're going to go ahead and download those photos and then going upstairs to print them. This is cute. I've never made one of these. It's a college reveal cake, so I'm super excited. I'm excited for the person, you know. It's really cute. And they made the top part of it, which is really nice. I had one of my other like baby gender reveal cakes. They made the top photo of it as well, so that it's super helpful and they get it exactly how they want it. This is what their inspo picture looks like. I don't know if you can really see it. It is a vintage cake, and it sort of has to be so that we can do the style of it and the burn away part of it. Okay, so now that we have the photos, I like to print out a sample picture of it first on a regular printer with just regular piece of paper. And then this is the edible printer that once everything is nice and good, the sizing is correct, I like to print it all out on here. Okay, so this is our photo, and one way that I like to do it is you could print it straight from the camera roll. So I have these two that I'm going to be using right here, and you can print it straight from here. Just go up here to the uploads, go down and print, and it might or might not be the correct size, so that's where we're going to be making sure everything is good and ready to go. I'm not going to print this in color so that I don't waste my color. And again, this is the practice one. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Another way to do it, sorry, it's a little bit loud now. Another way to do it is I download these photos onto my Google Docs, and then you could just adjust the sizing from there. But sometimes it doesn't really, like, I don't know, it like moves from side to side, if that makes sense. But I have also used Canva before. Canva's really good, and you choose this the sizing to letter paper, I believe, or 9 by 11, something like that, 8 by 11, and then it prints out as well. My cake is an 8-inch, and she wanted a 9-inch, but I did let her know that I could only do an 8-inch just because the round of the cake is, or sorry, the round of the paper, I believe, is 8 by 11. And for that to work, okay, so this is what it looks like. But yeah, for that to work, it has to be just like a little bit smaller than the cake, you know. And I didn't want, sorry, I have a booger. And I didn't want, yeah, I didn't want the cake to be too big, so my paper was gonna be like small, if that makes sense. And then just the border wouldn't hold up the paper. So this is what we got. It looks a little big, so we can definitely bring it into Canva or bring it into Google Docs and make it a little bit smaller, just because this might be the whole size of the cake now, and we want it to be a tiny bit smaller. And I would say, since the background is white, you could make it a little bit smaller and then cut around the circle a little bit bigger, just so that we have the photo in the middle. I do this all on my tablet or on my iPad, and you can do it from your computer or from your phone, because I do this from my phone as well. But my iPad is bigger. So for the lettering, I just do whatever, type it in, and then we're gonna add up here a little image from photos, and then let's choose this one right here. We could add both technically, but yeah. So then from here on my iPad, we're going to go up here to the 3 little dots and then print layout. So that's going to allow you to move this and create a bigger or smaller size. So comparing it to this photo that I just printed from my photos, if you see that this Google Docs right now is like this, and on here it printed basically hamburger style. And yeah, so we're gonna be able to flip this from here, do a full 90, and then I can't bring it to the middle, which is what I was saying, but we could drag right here and make it bigger. So if you're on the computer, you can choose the dimensions to it and like type it in manually. So I would do, if you're on a computer, I would do maybe 7 inches, 7 by 7, just so it could be kind of like a square. But I can't see I don't have it on my computer right now, so I'm just kind of gonna guess. And you could see the preview too. Once you hit share and export, you're gonna be able to print. It's gonna prepare, and then that's what it's gonna look like on your piece of paper. So kind of comparing it to this, for sure it's way smaller, and that's just like using my judgment. Again, if you enter the dimensions clearly on your computer, it's easier, which I'm not doing that, but that's what it's gonna look like. So I believe that's a good size. I do want it to be a little bit smaller just because I want to be able to pipe around it and then still have the photo in the center. So we're gonna print this. Again, let's not print it in color. I hope this information helps you guys. This is how I do it. I'm sure there's a different way to do it. And if you do it a little bit different, let me know how you guys do it. Or if you have any questions, let me know. Alright, so this is what it looks like. I would say from here we can go ahead and take this downstairs, cut around to make this piece of paper 8 inches, and then we will see what that looks like on the cake. This might look a little bit small here on paper, but once we put it on the cake, we don't want it to be too big because it's gonna get covered by the border. So again, this has to be centered in the middle. Alright, so here is a comparison. This is an 8-inch cake board, and this is our photo. So I'm just gonna do that, and it looks like it fits. So I'm gonna cut around a circle around this and try to make it centered. You could also put it on top and kind of figure that out, like from the middle, if you can see. I just pressed it into the sides and I was able to see the crease right here, so I'm cutting around that circle. So now from here, that looks pretty centered, and we know it's an 8-inch because we measured it with our 8-inch cake base. To be honest, we might have to make it a little bit bigger around the border just so that we could set it on top of that border that I was saying. And from here, we can go ahead and bring out the cake just to make sure it'll fit on there. Okay, so this is our chilled crumb-coated cake. And again, we're just gonna take this and measure it on top. So it is perfectly good 8 inches. That's a good size. And now we are ready to print it. Now we are ready to print it on our wafer paper. Actually, I thought I was gonna have to go a little bit bigger on the sides, but we might go a little bit shorter just so that our paper doesn't show outside of our first border that we pipe. Okay, so now that we have the perfect sizing, we're gonna do the same thing and add our other photos. Sorry, I wasn't showing you. Click that one, add, and then we're gonna flip it and do all of the same stuff, but to show you right here on the computer. Now that one just uploaded, that I added it from my iPad. So we're gonna open up this one, the one that we just printed, and I'm gonna show you up here. It says, you can click on the photo, and then it says editing, no, it says image options, and go to sizing and rotation. So right here we can see the exact size. It's 6.9, yeah, by 6.9. So basically how I said 7 by 7, I was really close. And it's a almost a square, I guess, but it matched up perfectly, 6 by 9 by 6 by 9. So we'll do this over on this side as well. It might be a little bit different because this one looks like it's into a rectangle, but we could still sort of do the same numbers just so that we can have the exact same size. My camera died, but it's right here. So this one is kind of what I was saying. It prints out a little bit to the side. So this one we're going to take it into Canva. Okay, so right here we brought it into Canva, and I chose the letter paper. Again, it's 8.5 by 11, and right here it's easier to move and adjust. So you can move it anywhere on the paper, and now we'll see. I think right here it'll be good either way, if it's like centered like this or the other way, because it'll be a perfect circle in the middle, I believe. We can still print it out and test it, but this one could be a little bit bigger just because it's the bottom photo, and we're going to want to leave an extra border. So we're going to save this and download at 2.7 just so it could be extra clear. All right, and now we have this here on our paper, or sorry, on our photos. Now we're gonna again print this and make sure it fits the cake. Okay, so while the A is printing, we're going to, I need to buy more wafer paper. So I print on wafer paper, and we're gonna take out 2 of these and bring them over here. So okay, so there, I don't know if you can tell right here, but there's a smooth side to the paper and like a more textured side to the paper. You can see pretty clearly right here. This side is more like silky, and this side is a little bit bumpy. So we're gonna open up our printer from the bottom, and then we're gonna make sure that our bumpy side is up. Oh shit, I don't remember how it goes. Yeah, make sure that your bumpy side is up, and we're gonna put that back in there. And it says, did you load letter paper? Yes. It's a little bit bigger than letter paper, but it still works. Yeah, so this one is already perfect and to the size. We're gonna go ahead and print this, and then make sure it's to the correct printer, because right now it was showing HP Envy, and that one's HP, and this is Canon. So let's choose the Canon, and then we're gonna make sure it's in color, not double-sided, and wait for it over here. It should come out through, oh, it comes out through here too, up right there. Meanwhile, this is what we got over here. It looks pretty good. It might be a little too big, but that's kind of a good thing, I guess, so that it's like once you burn it, you'll see that right there. I like the size, so I think we'll leave it. I actually haven't even changed my ink for my edible printer, and I need to do that soon. But if you guys want to see a video of it, let me know in the comments, because we'll find out together how to do that. All right, so this is the final photo on the edible paper, and again, we put the wafer side on top, or sorry, the textured side on top, so when it comes out, it prints out onto the smooth side, and that's perfect. So now let's do the same with the letter A. Awesome, so we got both. So this is gonna be our bottom photo and our top photo. That is how I do it. And I use Canva, your photos, and Google Docs. So that's the easiest way for me. And of course, do your practice test first and make sure that everything is gonna fit, as well as you can cut it. And this is like a different practice test. This was already on wafer paper, so this one's kind of messed up, but I think it was because my ink was bleeding right there. All right, so let me just show you again real quick. We have our letter A, and this is the top part. So it fits pretty good on here. We're gonna wanna see it through the back as well, just so that we can get a perfect circle. And yeah, so I'm just gonna cut this out, have this ready. Don't let your wafer paper touch anything wet, or yeah, you don't want it to touch any liquid because it'll crumple up and get ruined. So let me cut this out and then come back. Okay, so these are the 2 photo papers, and these are wafer papers. Once again, there is rice papers, but I believe it doesn't burn well, so don't use rice paper. And I do use rice paper for the top and I use wafer paper for the top and the bottom. Here we have my final layer, and before I forget, I did warm up a little bit of the buttercream again, and I put it back in so that we can get a smooth and shiny texture to this layer. All right, so we have our final layer of the cake. I'm gonna put it back in the fridge while we keep on working on our wafer paper. So for our paper, we're not gonna put it just on the cake yet, but I do put it on a piece of fondant so that it could have a base. Again, because if it touches something wet, it has a chance to kind of just like crunch up. For this part, we're just gonna take some white fondant and get it to the texture where we could roll it down. So for this, you just mix it in until it gets soft. I put cornstarch on my board so that it doesn't get sticky. I think you could also use powdered sugar, but cornstarch is not as sticky. So right here, we're gonna be looking for the size of the 8-inch circle, and we could use the cake board as a guide. We have the 8-inch cake board, and that should be good. So I think we're gonna go ahead and leave it at that. I'm gonna use a, what is this called? An X-Acto knife, and cut around it. I just use a little bit of water right there. And then we're gonna, with a brush, just swipe right here with water to get it sticky. And again, this is for the bottom photo only. I don't know if I said that, but this is for the bottom photo only, and our reveal is gonna be the letter A for the college. And we're gonna stick this right on here and flatten it out. Try not to touch the color part, just so that we don't get it wet. But make sure your hands are nice and dry. Now I see that we have a little bit of excess. We're gonna cut that off and make sure it all comes together. So this is what we have, and this is gonna be our bottom layer of our reveal cake. Of our burn away cake, sorry. Okay, we're gonna set this aside. For my food coloring, I use the Deco Pack, and I get these from Amazon. So I have a super red, and I have a black. This is the color change once I went into the microwave, and this is what we had before. So again, microwave makes a difference. We're just gonna put that in here, and then you can see the difference. All right, so we are ready. This is where we add our bottom layer that's going to be revealed with the fondant that we had on here. So we're gonna go ahead and just place it right in the center. I like to give it a little pat and flatten it out, make sure it sticks on here. Just gonna pipe some little dollops around the whole cake, going upwards, so we can lift it off and add that other paper on top of it. And I would say don't do it super close to the edge, just so that I can cover that later with piping. But we're gonna go ahead and just do this. So this is what it looks like from the top and on the sides. Now we're going to add our other burn away part on top of this. So this is the top part, and we're gonna go ahead and add it straight on here. Actually, I'm gonna slightly cut it so it could be a little bit shorter. I just don't want this layer to show on my border, but we want it to touch the border. So it's the slightest little trim, and then make sure it's like facing the same direction. Okay, I think we are ready to set this down. I don't press it all the way down, but this is what it looks like right here. This is what it looks like. That's how it's sitting on top of the buttercream that we piped. And now we are ready for the final decorating and the piping for the rest of the cake. And that we're going to be doing with the red buttercream that we made. I do have a video of all of the piping tips that I use for my cakes, for my vintage cakes, that you can go ahead and watch. And I have also all of these tips linked onto my Amazon storefront if you want to look at them or buy them. Okay, so right here I'm going to go in with a smaller version of this tip and pipe around this so we can cover up the border that we made earlier. This is what the cake looks like. I added some sprinkles and I added some designs to the side. I'm just gonna take photos of it. I will see if the my customers give me a photo or a video of when they burn the cake. I usually get some of those back, but I'm not sure. I will wait to post this so that if they do send me a video, I will include that in here. But so yeah, they're going to be able to burn this top one, and then it's going to show the bottom photo. This is where I take my photos, so I just transferred it over here, and we're going to get some photos of it, which is our last and final 6th step.
Andy, bro, you can collect. Oh, wait! Oh! Hey! Hey! Look at it. It's burning.
Oh, look at that.
That's really cool.
Whoa, that's sick.
Good job, girl.
I didn't even know these existed.
The big reveal. Everybody guess where he's going to college. Where's he
Oh.
It's a mystery.
Is that the Sun Devils?
Going to Fort Hays State.
Yeah.